The great hall on Zenthra Prime buzzed with nervous energy. 12 different alien species sat around the massive circular table, each one more ancient and powerful than the last. Their translators hummed softly as voices from across the galaxy filled the air with worry and anger. Speaker Vex Thul stood at the center of the room. His crystal body caught the light from 3 suns and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. He had ruled his people for over 2,000 years. His voice was deep and commanding when he spoke. "Fellow members of the Galactic Council," he began, "we face a crisis, unlike any in our long history." The other aliens shifted in their seats. The Morvok representative clicked his metal claws against the table. The Asthan floated silently, her energy form flickering with concern. Everyone knew why they were here. "The humans," Vex Thul continued, "have gone too far." A holographic star map appeared above the table. Red dots marked human colonies scattered across hundreds of light years. 50 years ago, there had been only one dot: Earth. Now the red spread like a disease across space that had belonged to the Council for thousands of years. "When we first discovered them, they were barely able to reach their own moon," said Commander Zarketh of the Zephyrian Empire. His blue skin glowed with irritation. "We gave them space to grow. We set boundaries. They agreed to stay within their designated area. And now?" The Morvak's mechanical voice buzzed. "They have broken every agreement. They take what they want. They terraform worlds without permission. They strip mine asteroids that belong to us." The hologram zoomed in on the outer edge of human space. New colonies appeared every month. Mining stations, shipyards, military bases. The humans were building an empire right under the Council's nose. "They reproduce too fast," whispered the Asthan delegate. Her voice sounded like wind through leaves. "Their population grows beyond all reason. Soon, they will outnumber all of us combined." Vex Thul nodded slowly. "This is why we must act now, before they become too strong to stop." The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted immediate military action. Others preferred economic sanctions. A few suggested trying diplomacy one more time. "You forget what we are dealing with," said Elder Thross of the Hegemony. His tentacles writhed as he spoke. "Humans are not like us. They do not think logically. They are driven by emotions and primitive instincts, which makes them dangerous," added the Zephyrian commander. "They fight wars differently. They take risks that no sane species would consider. All the more reason to contain them now," Vex Thul declared. "I call for a vote. All in favor of issuing an ultimatum?" One by one, the council members raised their hands, claws, tentacles, or energy signatures. The vote was unanimous. 3 days later, Ambassador Elena Vasquez received the message at the Terran embassy on Neutral Station. She was a small woman with dark hair and steady eyes. She had been Earth's representative to the Council for 10 years. She knew these aliens better than most humans. The holographic document appeared on her desk with official Council seals. She read it carefully, her expression never changing. The ultimatum was simple and brutal. Humanity had 30 standard days to comply with the following demands. All human colonies beyond the original boundary zone must be abandoned immediately. The populations would be relocated to approved worlds under Council supervision. All military vessels and installations in disputed space must be surrendered to Council forces. The Terran government must accept permanent Council oversight of all expansion activities. Trade with other species would be regulated and limited by the Council. Failure to comply would result in corrective action to restore galactic stability. Elena set the document aside and activated her secure communication link. The encryption was purely human technology. The Council had tried for decades to break it, without success. "Admiral Chen," Elena said when the connection went through. "We just received their answer." Admiral Sarah Chen appeared on the screen. She was aboard the command station, Terra Nova. somewhere in human space. Her Asian features were calm, but her dark eyes showed she was ready for war. "How bad is it?" Chen asked. "They want everything," Elena replied. "Complete surrender, in 30 days. Chen was quiet for a moment. "Do they really think we'll just give up everything we've built?" "They think we're still the same species they found 50 years ago," Elena said. "Primitive. Easily controlled. They have no idea what we've become. Should I begin preparations?" Elena looked out the window of her embassy. She could see ships from a dozen different species docked at the station. For decades, these aliens had treated humans like children who needed guidance. They had no idea that the children had grown up. "Tell Dr. Webb to activate the contingency plans," Elena said. "All of them." "And our response to the council?" Elena smiled for the first time since reading the ultimatum. It was not a pleasant smile. "Tell them the Terran Empire acknowledges their message. We will provide our answer in due time." After ending the communication, Elena walked to her office safe. Inside was a data chip that had been there for 5 years, waiting for this moment. The chip contained detailed intelligence on every council world, every military installation, and every weakness the aliens thought was secret. Humanity had been preparing for this day since the moment they realized the council would never accept them as equals. The aliens thought they were dealing with simple creatures who had stumbled into space travel through luck. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Elena inserted the chip into her personal computer and began to read. By tomorrow, copies of this information would be on every human world. The war was about to begin, and the council had no idea what they had just started. Outside her window, alien ships continued their peaceful routines. Soon, everything would change. The private meeting room deep inside the council building was filled with the most powerful military leaders in known space. Each alien wore the uniform of their species' armed forces. Each had centuries of experience in warfare. Each was completely confident that the human problem would be solved quickly. General Korvik of the Zephyrian fleet paced around the table. His energy weapons could turn entire moons to dust. His ships had never lost a battle. 30 days, he said with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. The humans will surrender long before then. They have maybe 200 warships. We have thousands. Admiral Vex Khan of the Morvac Collective nodded his metal head. Our ships are fully automated. No organic crew to worry about. No emotions to cloud judgment. Pure logic and efficiency. The Asthen forces can manipulate gravity itself, added Fleet Commander Serial. Her energy form pulsed with confidence. We can crush their ships without even touching them. The meeting continued for hours. Each species bragged about their weapons and their victories. They shared intelligence reports about human military capabilities. The reports all said the same thing. Humans were weak. Human ships were built with primitive materials. Their weapons were simple, chemical explosives, and basic energy beams. Their tactics were straightforward and predictable. They had never fought against truly advanced alien technology. Remember, said General Korvik, humans only think in 3 dimensions. They cannot comprehend the elegant strategies we employ. They are like children playing with toys. What none of them knew was that 3,000 light-years away, a very different meeting was taking place. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a massive holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Around her sat the best military minds humanity had produced. These were not children playing with toys. These were the descendants of a species that had fought wars across every continent of their home planet for thousands of years. Intelligence reports confirm the alien fleet movements, Chen said. Her voice was calm and steady. They're positioning for a standard 3-pronged attack. Exactly as we predicted. Dr. Marcus Webb stepped forward. He was the head of Terran Strategic Research. A thin man with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. In his hands was a datapad containing 50 years of careful study. The aliens have made several critical errors. Webb began. First, they assume we think like they do. They believe in overwhelming force and direct confrontation. They cannot imagine any other way to fight. Colonel Martinez, the youngest person in the room, raised her hand. What about their technology advantage? Their weapons really can destroy planets. Webb smiled. Their technology is indeed more advanced than ours. But advancement is not the same as adaptation. Watch. The holographic display changed to show a Zephyrian battleship. The massive vessel was over 2 miles long and bristling with energy weapons. This ship represents 5,000 years of Zephyrian military development, Webb said. It is designed to fight other species that think like Zephyrians. It expects enemies to approach directly and trade firepower. The image changed to show a human destroyer, much smaller and apparently much weaker. Our ships are designed differently. We studied every known alien vessel for decades. We learned their weaknesses. Most importantly, we learned that they cannot learn. Admiral Chen took over the briefing. The Zephyrians have fought the same way for millennia. So have the Morvacs. So have all of them. They see a problem and apply more force. They see a threat and build bigger weapons. They never change. Humans change, said Colonel Martinez. We adapt. Exactly, Chen replied. While they were building bigger ships, we were developing new ways to fight. While they were creating more powerful weapons, we were finding ways to make their weapons useless. Dr. Webb activated another hologram. This one showed a space battle, but it was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They attacked from impossible angles. They used the environment itself as a weapon. Project Mirage has been successful beyond our hopes, Webb said. Our stealth technology doesn't just hide our ships. It makes them exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Alien targeting systems cannot lock onto something that is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. What about their numbers? Asked another officer. They have thousands of ships. Chen's smile was cold. Numbers only matter if you can bring them to bear. The aliens think in terms of fleet actions and grand battles. They want to line up their ships and trade shots until one side breaks. We're going to give them a different kind of war, Webb continued. The aliens have never faced an enemy that refuses to play by their rules. They've never fought someone who turns their own tactics against them. The meeting continued deep into the night. Plans were reviewed. Contingencies were examined. Every possible alien response was considered and countered. As the officers filed out, Admiral Chen remained behind with Dr. Webb. They stood together, looking at the galaxy map, seeing not just stars, but possibilities. Are you certain this will work? Chen asked quietly. Webb was quiet for a long moment. The aliens have been the dominant powers in this galaxy for thousands of years. They've never been challenged. They've never had to change, or grow, or adapt. They've become comfortable, and comfort makes you weak. Humans have never been comfortable, Webb said. We've been fighting for survival since we first stood upright. We've learned to see opportunity in disaster and hope in desperation. The aliens are about to discover what happens when a species that has never stopped evolving meets one that stopped growing long ago. Chen nodded and walked toward the door. Tomorrow, the real preparations would begin. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitive creatures who would surrender at the first show of force. They had no idea they were about to face the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever produced. In the depths of space, human fleets were already moving into position. Not where the aliens expected them to be, but where they needed to be. The war was coming, and humanity was ready. The aliens would learn too late that they had made a terrible mistake. They had threatened the one species in the galaxy that treated impossible as just another word for challenging. The 30-day deadline came and went without any word from the humans. Ambassador Elena Vasquez had simply stopped responding to Council communications. The embassy on Neutral Station remained active, but Elena had returned to human space 3 days earlier. Speaker Vex Thol stood before the emergency council session, his crystal form glowing with anger. "The humans have chosen war," he declared. "They mock our authority and ignore our demands. The time for patience has ended." The council members murmured their agreement. Some showed excitement at finally being able to use their vast military power. Others seemed nervous, but none opposed the action. "Operation Shepherd will begin immediately," announced General Korvik. 3 fleets will strike simultaneously at key human worlds. The war will be over within days. The first target was Kepler 442b, a major human colony 20 light-years from Earth. Intelligence reports showed it was a manufacturing center with light defenses, perfect for a quick victory that would demonstrate council power. Admiral Zeth Moran commanded the Zephyrian First Fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Radiance. Around him, 300 warships prepared for the jump to hyperspace. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a continent. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer announced. "Excellent," Zeth Moran replied. "The humans will learn what happens when primitives challenge their betters. Begin the attack." The fleet vanished into hyperspace. Within hours, they would arrive at Kepler 442b and deliver the Council's justice. The Admiral expected to be home for dinner. But when the Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at Kepler 442b, something was wrong. The planet was gone. Where Kepler 442b should have been, there was only empty space filled with debris. Chunks of rock and metal drifted in loose formation around the star. At first, the aliens thought the humans had destroyed their own world, rather than let it be captured. "Scan the debris field," ordered Admiral Zeth Moran. The scanning officer worked frantically at his console. After several minutes, he looked up with confusion on his blue face. "Sir, the readings are strange. The debris appears to be moving in organized patterns, and I'm detecting massive metal deposits throughout the field." That was when the trap was sprung. The debris began to move with purpose. What the Zephyrians had thought was random wreckage suddenly revealed itself as the most sophisticated defensive network ever created. Hidden throughout the scattered rocks were human stealth ships, their hulls designed to look like natural debris. Automated mining platforms emerged from concealment, their industrial equipment modified into weapons. Asteroid fragments began accelerating toward the Zephyrian ships, pushed by invisible magnetic fields. But the real surprise was the kinetic artillery. Humans had turned the laws of physics into a weapon. Using orbital mechanics and careful timing, they had created a system that could launch projectiles at incredible speeds. Chunks of metal and rock, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, struck the alien ships like the fist of an angry god. "Shields up! Return fire!" Admiral Zeth Moran shouted. But there was nowhere to shoot. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. Their stealth technology made them impossible to target effectively. Every time the Zephyrians thought they had located an enemy ship, it would vanish and reappear somewhere else. The battle was chaos. Zephyrian energy weapons lit up space as they fired at phantom targets. Their advanced sensors, designed to track conventional starships, could not cope with enemies that seemed to exist in multiple places at once. From the bridge of the Terran dreadnought Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the alien fleet struggle helplessly against the defensive network her people had spent months preparing. "Target their command ship," she ordered. "Let's give the Admiral something to remember." The Indomitable decloaked directly above the Eternal Radiance. The human ship was smaller than the alien flagship, but size meant nothing when surprise was on your side. A focused particle beam struck the Zephyrian ship's communication array, cutting off Admiral Zeth Moran from his fleet. Secondary explosions rippled along the alien ship's hull as human weapons found weak points that should not have existed. "How are they doing this?" Zeth Moran demanded. "Our armor should be impenetrable." His tactical officer was frantically checking his displays. "Sir, they're not using brute force. Their weapons are designed to target specific molecular structures in our hull materials. It's as if they know exactly how our ships are built. Which, of course, they did. 50 years of careful observation had given humans complete blueprints of every major alien vessel design. The battle continued for 6 hours. When it ended, the Zephyrian First Fleet was in full retreat. Over a third of their ships had been destroyed or disabled. The rest fled toward Council space, carrying news of an impossible defeat. Admiral Zeth Moran sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. His fleet, the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, had been crushed by an enemy they could barely see. "Prepare a report for the Council," he said quietly. Tell them the humans are not what we expected." From her position in the debris field, Admiral Chen watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. She felt no satisfaction in the victory. This was just the beginning. "Signal all units," she ordered. "Begin Phase 2. It's time to take the war to them." The other human fleets were already moving. The aliens had expected a quick police action against a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Zephyrians had been the first to learn this lesson. They would not be the last. Deep in Council space, emergency sessions were being called. Reports were flooding in of human ships appearing in impossible locations, striking targets that should have been unreachable, using tactics that defied all known military doctrine. The war the Council had started to maintain their dominance was about to destroy everything they thought they knew about warfare itself. The news of the First Fleet's defeat sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Speaker Vex Thul called emergency sessions every day. But the reports kept getting worse. The Morvac Collective's Second Fleet had been completely destroyed at Ross 128. Admiral Kexthar's automated armada, pride of the Machine Empire, had encountered something they never expected: human ships that learned and adapted in real time. "Impossible," Admiral Kexthar had transmitted before his flagship was destroyed. "The humans are changing their tactics faster than our computers can calculate. Their artificial intelligence is beyond our understanding." But it wasn't artificial intelligence that had defeated the Morvacs. It was something far more dangerous. Human creativity, combined with adaptive technology. Captain Lisa Rodriguez commanded the destroyer Defiant as it danced between the massive Morvac battleships. Her ship was 1/10 the size of the enemy vessels, but size didn't matter when you could think faster than your opponents. "Enemy fleet is adjusting to counter our previous attack pattern," reported her tactical officer. "Then we'll give them a new one." Rodriguez replied with a grin. "Activate Learning Protocol 7. Let's see how they handle something they've never seen before." The Defiant's computer systems analyzed the Morvac fleet's movements and predicted their next tactical adjustment. Then the human ship did something no alien could imagine. It began to use the enemy's own logic against them. Morvac ships operated on pure logic and mathematical precision. They calculated the most efficient attack patterns and used them repeatedly. What they couldn't understand was an enemy that deliberately chose inefficient tactics that somehow worked better. Human ships zigzagged when they should have flown straight. They retreated when they should have advanced. They split their fire when they should have concentrated it. Nothing the humans did made mathematical sense, but everything they did worked. The Morvac computers began to overheat trying to process tactics that violated every principle of logical warfare. Their targeting systems couldn't lock onto ships that moved in patterns their algorithms said were impossible. "The humans fight like madmen," was Admiral Kexthar's last transmission. "There is no logic to their actions, yet they defeat us at every turn." Meanwhile, in the Vega system, the Third Fleet under Asthan command faced an even stranger enemy. Fleet Commander Serial had brought 50 ships capable of manipulating gravity itself. Asthan vessels could crush enemy ships without firing a shot, simply by increasing local gravity to unbearable levels. But when she tried to target the human fleet, her weapons passed harmlessly through empty space. "The humans appear to be there, but they are not there," reported her science officer. "Our sensors detect them, but our weapons cannot touch them." The human ships seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They could be seen and tracked, but when attacked, the weapons found nothing solid to strike. It was as if the humans had learned to become ghosts. From the bridge of the experimental ship, Phantom, Commander James Park watched the Asthen fleet struggle with weapons that couldn't hit targets they could see. "Quantum displacement is holding steady," reported his engineer. "We're existing approximately 60% in normal space and 40% in folded space. Their gravity weapons can't affect us while we're phased. And our weapons can still reach them?" "Affirmative. We can fire from folded space into normal space, but they can't return fire effectively. It was technology that shouldn't exist, based on physics the aliens had never mastered. Humans had weaponized quantum mechanics itself, creating ships that could step partially outside reality when attacked. The Asthen fleet lasted 3 hours before Commander Serial ordered a retreat. Her gravity weapons, capable of destroying planets, were useless against enemies that existed between dimensions. But the worst news for the Council was yet to come. Long-range scouts began reporting human fleets deep in Council territory. Not attacking, not destroying, just watching. Human ships appeared at the edge of alien solar systems, observed for a few hours, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. "They're mapping our defenses," General Korvik realized during an emergency military briefing. "Every major system, every strategic installation. They know everything about our territories. Everything." General Korvik, no Terry. General Korvik realized directly reefing. General Korvik realized during territory. The reports kept coming. Human ships had been spotted near the Zephyrian homeworld. A human vessel had appeared in orbit around the Morvac Central Processing Station and transmitted a simple message: "Hello," before disappearing. Most terrifying of all, human operatives had somehow infiltrated Council worlds. Security footage showed human figures walking through areas that should have been impossible to reach. How they had arrived, how they had bypassed security, no one knew. Dr. Thixnall, the Council's chief scientist, presented her findings to the emergency session. Her tentacles writhed with nervous energy as she spoke. "We have underestimated the humans catastrophically," she said. "Their technology is not primitive. It is alien to us. They have developed along completely different lines than any known species." Speaker Vexthal's crystal form flickered with worry. "Explain." "All Council species developed technology by building upon existing principles. We made our weapons bigger, our ships faster, our computers more powerful. The humans did something else entirely." The holographic display showed human technology schematics that made no sense to alien minds. "They break the rules, Doctor," Tixnall continued. "Where we see limitations, they see opportunities. Where we see impossibilities, they see puzzles to solve. They have turned physics itself into a weapon." "But surely we can counter their tactics," said Admiral Vex Khan of the surviving Morvac forces. Dr. Tixnall's silence was answer enough. Reports continued to flood in. Human ships using stellar radiation as a propulsion system. Human weapons that turned an enemy's own energy output against them. Human defensive systems that made their ships stronger every time they were attacked. The humans weren't just fighting a war. They were rewriting the fundamental principles of how wars were fought. On Terra Nova Station, Admiral Chen reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The aliens had expected to face primitive humans using conventional tactics. Instead, they had encountered something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that treated every limitation as a challenge to overcome. "Phase 3 is ready to commence," reported Colonel Martinez. "All deep strike forces are in position." Chen nodded. The aliens still hadn't realized the full scope of what they were facing. They thought this was a military conflict that could be won with superior firepower. They were about to learn that humans didn't just fight wars differently, They thought about victory itself in ways that alien minds could never comprehend. 6 months after the failed ultimatum, the Great Hall on Zenthara Prime was a very different place. The confident alien leaders who had once planned humanity's subjugation now sat in shocked silence. Emergency reports covered every surface: battle damage assessments, intelligence failures, lists of missing fleets. Speaker Vex Thul's crystal form had dimmed considerably since the war began. 3 of the Council's most powerful fleets had been destroyed or scattered. Human ships roamed freely through Council space, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The humans have rejected every attempt at communication, reported the diplomatic corps leader. They will not negotiate. They will not discuss terms. They simply continue their activities. The activities in question were unlike anything in galactic military history. Human forces didn't occupy worlds or destroy cities. Instead, they systematically dismantled the infrastructure that kept Council civilization running. Mining operations simply stopped working when their automated systems were mysteriously reprogrammed. Trade routes became unreliable as navigation systems began providing incorrect coordinates. Communication networks experienced regular failures that technicians couldn't explain or fix. The humans were taking apart Council society piece by piece, and they were doing it so subtly that most civilians didn't even realize they were under attack. Request permission to address the Council. Every head in the room turned toward the entrance. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 human guards in black uniforms. Behind them, visible through the hall's massive windows, hung the dark shapes of human warships. The fleet, Terra's Fury, had arrived at Zenthara Prime without triggering a single alarm. 30 of humanity's most advanced vessels now held position around the Council's capital world, demonstrating that the humans could strike at the heart of alien power whenever they chose. "You dare come here?" Speaker Vexthul's voice cracked like breaking stone. "After everything you have done?" Elena walked calmly to the center of the room. She looked exactly the same as she had 6 months earlier. Small, unremarkable, human. But now, every alien in the room knew that appearances could be deceiving. "I come to deliver the Terran Empire's response to your ultimatum," she said. Her voice was steady and cold. A holographic document appeared above the central table. The terms were simple and brutal, a mirror of the demands the Council had once made. All Council military forces would withdraw immediately from any system within 50 light-years of human space. Council worlds in disputed territories would be evacuated within 90 days. The alien governments would accept permanent human monitoring of all military activities. "Failure to comply," Elena read aloud, "will result in the complete dismantling of Council technological infrastructure." The aliens sat in stunned silence. General Korvik was the first to find his voice. "You cannot be serious. We outnumber you 1,000 to 1. Our civilizations have ruled this galaxy for millennia." Elena smiled, and every alien in the room felt a chill they couldn't explain. "Your numbers mean nothing when your ships cannot find our targets. Your ancient civilizations mean nothing when you cannot adapt to change." She gestured, and new holographic displays filled the air. "For the past 6 months, human operatives have been studying your worlds. We know the location of every military base, every government facility, every critical piece of infrastructure. More importantly, we know how it all works." The displays showed detailed schematics of alien technology, not just the outer appearance, but complete blueprints, down to the molecular level. "How did you?" Dr. Thixnell's tentacles writhed in horror. "These are classified beyond the highest security levels. Your security means nothing to a species that treats impossible as a starting point rather than a limitation," Elena replied. "Would you like to know how we obtained this information?" She gestured again. The displays changed to show surveillance footage from across Council space. Human figures walked casually through the most secure facilities in alien civilization. They examined equipment, copied files, and departed without anyone realizing they had been there. Stealth technology, whispered Admiral Vex Khan. More than stealth, Elena corrected. Phase shifting, quantum tunneling, localized time dilation. We developed technologies you never imagined, because you never needed to. You have been the dominant powers for so long that you forgot how to grow. Speaker Vex Thul tried to regain control of the situation. Even if what you claim is true, you cannot govern an entire galaxy. You are one species among many. Elena's expression never changed. We have no desire to govern you. We simply want you to stop trying to govern us. New holographic displays appeared, showing human colonies spreading across unexplored regions of space. Ships equipped with technology that could terraform dead worlds in months instead of centuries. Space habitats that could support millions of people using resources the aliens had never learned to exploit. While you have been playing war games with us, we have been expanding into areas you never bothered to explore. The galaxy is vast. There is room for all of us, if you can accept that humanity will not be contained. The council members looked at each other with growing desperation. Everything they had built, everything they had controlled, was slipping away. What if we refuse? General Korvik asked quietly. Elena activated one final holographic display. It showed real-time feeds from across council space. On every world, in every system, small human devices had been quietly installed in critical locations. Then you will discover what happens when a species that has weaponized physics itself decides that diplomacy has failed, she said. Those devices can disable any piece of council technology with a single transmitted signal. Your ships will not fly. Your computers will not function. Your life support systems will shut down. The silence in the room was deafening. But it will not come to that, Elena continued, her tone becoming almost conversational. Because you are intelligent beings who can recognize when circumstances have changed. The age of council dominance is ending not through conquest, but through evolution. She gestured toward the windows where the human fleet waited in silent formation. We offer you a choice. Adapt to a galaxy where humanity is your equal, or be left behind. As we reach for stars you never dreamed of touching. Elena turned and walked toward the exit. Her guards fell into step behind her. You have 7 days to consider our terms, she said without looking back. Do not waste them. As the humans departed, the council members sat in shocked silence. Through the windows, they watched the human fleet begin its journey home. The ships moved in formations that seemed to bend space around them, using technology that made alien science look primitive by comparison. Speaker Vex Thul finally found his voice. What have we done? Dr. Thixnall looked at the data surrounding them, evidence of human capabilities that exceeded their worst fears. We awakened something that should have remained sleeping, she said quietly. We tried to cage a species that had spent its entire existence breaking free of every limitation it encountered. In the days that followed, the council would debate and argue and struggle with the choice Elena had given them. But in the end, there was really only one decision they could make. The galaxy belonged to humanity now. The aliens could join them in exploring its infinite possibilities, or they could be left behind to contemplate the ruins of their ancient empires. The humans had won not through superior force, but by proving that there were no limits for a species that refused to accept them. The stars themselves were not enough to contain such a people. And this was only the beginning.